I used to work at the press and they all talk about you.
I was there I'd go there all the time for lunch when I was working down there.
My manager, Jenna, loves you.
Oh, I love
she
Jenna.
talked about you all the time. She'd be like, Ava, you need to meet Ashley.
I did I remember this clean plate club tattoo I did on her arm a long ass time ago. But
I didn't know she had any tattoos by you.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, it was a long time ago.
You tattooed one of my friends who serves there too. Her name is Shayla. You did a little cowgirl on her.
Yes.
She's very excited about it. She came in and showed me immediately. She's like, look at my
cowgirl. I love everyone in the Plaza District.
It's a great place to be.
It's a cute little community. Yeah,
I love it. Working down there.
Well, good.
Yeah.
I still go down there, but I enjoy going down there because it's I don't work down there anymore. So it's hard whenever
Did you work at the tattoo shop right there? What is it called?
No Regrets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know you worked there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I helped open it. And I worked there for 11 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I've been I was down in the Plaza since 2008.
Wow.
So before the Plaza was the hipster mecca we know now, which is great. It's a great place
to gentrified now.
Spend your time and money. But back when I was down there, it was not what it is now. Sometimes I miss the old Plaza, but the new Plaza is refreshing and it's a safe place for people to hang out. So I love what's going on down there.
Hey guys, I'm here with Ashley. We are at Keepsake. Do you want to introduce yourself and your style you do? How long you've been doing it?
My name's Ashley. We are at Keepsake. I do traditional, neo-traditional style. I've been tattooing since 2007, which is when it was legalized in Oklahoma.
How did you end up at Keepsake, and where is it located now? Because you guys did move.
I ended up at Keepsake. I was just needing a change of atmosphere. I had worked with the same great people for a really long time. All the guys at No Regrets. What's up? Yeah, I just needed some change. And my good friend Scott, who I had done some conventions with, he had moved away, but moved back to Oklahoma and opened his own shop. It happened to be walking distance from my house at the time. And when I walked in to check it out, I just knew the vibe was the change I was looking for. So I started working there in 2020, the beginning of 2020.
Oh, wow.
I moved my stuff in, worked for 2 weeks, and then we got shut down for 2 months. So I was there March 2020, and then we just moved the shop to the Automobile Alley area. It's a beautiful new big space. We brought on some additional artists because we have the space to do so. So yeah, I love it. I love the vibe. It was exactly what I was needing at the time, and it still is. So I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
So you said you started tattooing in 2007. How'd you get started in tattooing?
I was getting into getting tattooed. So I was going to Wichita, or Kansas. I was actually going to, in the beginning, Ark City, Kansas to get tattooed. It was just over the border because it was illegal here. And I just loved my experiences I was having in the tattoo shop, the conversations. I loved getting tattooed. I was going to school for graphic design at the time, and I did love doing graphic design. I just hated the idea of working in an office. I wanted to be able to do my own art, but I just didn't know what that meant at the time. So when I started getting tattooed, I was like, man, I would love to pursue this, but it was illegal in Oklahoma. And I just spent all my extra money going to Kansas, getting tattooed by the same people.
Did you ever think about apprenticing in Kansas?
Well, so I was getting tattooed by Mike Shea and Dennis McFell. They were both in Kansas. And I was continuing to get tattooed by Dennis. He had moved from Ark City to Wellington, Kansas, and then he moved to Wichita. So I was going to Wichita, and I'd been getting tattooed by him for a while. And I was just asking questions while I was getting tattooed by him, just how did you get into this? what are you doing? Like, what products are you using? I was just asking, like, honestly, questions I was legitimately like wanting to know the answers to, because I was just curious, because tattooing was so foreign to me still. But I knew there was something about it that I just loved. And one day he like saw that my interest was genuine, and he offered me, basically told me, if you were willing to move to Wichita, I would apprentice you. You would work for me after the apprenticeship was over with, And it really got my gears moving in my head, like, oh, I could be doing this. So I was basically just like, give me some time. Like, I want to think about this. This is like wild. I don't know if I want to move to Wichita. And I came back home, and around that same time, it was just like perfect timing. They kind of started talking about, oh, it's going to be legal in Oklahoma here pretty soon. So I gave it some time, and they finally legalized it. And I had some friends that were tattooing out of their house for a little bit, and they would let me come over and hang out, ask questions. And when those people got into a tattoo shop, I just kind of went with them. And at that point, I was kind of considered an apprentice. I really did not receive a legit, real apprenticeship because Oklahoma didn't know what that was back then. So I was kind of learning from people who were also learning.
Did you start tattooing like on day one, since it wasn't like...
No, not at all. I wanted to do it legit and do it the right way. And the people that were apprenticing me, teaching me, they didn't want to do that to me either. They wanted to set me up for success. So they all went to a shop called Sub Q. It was way up on Memorial and Western. The complex it was in is not there anymore. And, I went up there after work and mopped and hung out, answered the phone, cleaned, drew, apprentice stuff. Mm-hmm. Then Oklahoma kind of mapped out what the process was going to be to get your license and stuff like that. And I kind of was able to slip in there with getting my license, proving that I had been educated to Oklahoma standards to get my tattoo license. I still don't think I know what I'm doing sometimes, I don't know, I feel like my confidence, I don't feel like I feel confident, bringing on an apprentice, because I didn't receive that proper apprenticeship, but also what is a proper apprenticeship anymore these days. There's definitely ways of skirting past it, or there's people who probably should be tattooing, but the person who's mentoring them, just strings them along with this apprenticeship, forever. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm just not confident because I didn't receive what a lot of people see as a proper official apprenticeship. So yeah.
Was that your biggest hurdle coming into tattooing, or what was your biggest hurdle coming into tattooing?
I feel like when I started in 2007, really, I would say my biggest hurdle was being a female in the industry, because there was not a few female tattoo artists in Oklahoma. But it was, back then, it was a very male dominated industry. And I really feel like just in the past, 5 to 10 years, it's definitely done a turnaround where there's a lot of great, strong female tattoo artists out there. But I really do feel like I was treated different in the beginning because I was female, for sure.
Do you think that was a good thing or a negative thing? Do you think it has put you into the person that you are today?
Oh yeah, for sure. It was kind of, I feel like it definitely made me a little I have a hard shell to break through. I feel like when you get to know me, it's I feel like I do like I'm kind of standoffish when you first meet me a little bit. But yeah, I feel like it definitely like it was beneficial being a female in the beginning, because once tattooing really, the ball started rolling in Oklahoma, it was almost like people were seeking out female tattooers because it was so like few and far between. So I straight up would have people book appointments with me and be like, they wouldn't even look at my stuff, but they were like, I want to get tattooed by you because you're a female. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, you don't care what what I'm going to put on you, but okay. Like, and so I do feel like it did like get the ball rolling with my business, because it was like people didn't care. Like they were just like wanting to like explore these female tattoo artists. And I honestly feel like people thought it hurt less because I was a female. I don't know. Like, I think people thought, oh, you're feminine, you have a softer touch, you know.
Oh, I've heard good things about you tattooing people. I've heard you're fast and you're light-handed. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yes. I mean, I know I'm fast. I've been doing it for a while, so, but like my boyfriend tells me I'm heavy-handed.
That's what my sister told me.
Yeah, see, and I'm like,
Nobody else has told me that. Yeah.
So if you can like say that louder into your microphone so he hears it, I'd appreciate it. But yes.
Did you get started doing traditional art, or what was your original art
No,
form?
I mean, traditional was what I liked, getting tattooed on myself. That's what I wanted to do. But in the beginning, you just do whatever walks in the door. That's how you find out what you're going to be good at. Like, yeah, I mean, I've done realism portraits and black and gray and like, you know, like fine line and tribal and yeah, but I feel like it makes me appreciate where I am more. Like, it's crazy to me, like, that you can basically, as a tattooer nowadays, almost like pick what you want to be specializing in and do it. I mean, if I was given that control back in the day, I mean, I don't know, like, it's just weird to me. I appreciate that. I know I've worked through all styles to get where I am, because that's how I know it's right. You know, like, this is what I fell into. This is what I ended up being good at. So, yeah.
Initially, did you have a style that you wanted to do? Or were you just excited to tattoo?
I was just excited to tattoo. I mean, I can show you photos of my first stuff. I mean, it's all over the place. It's very all over the place. But yeah, no, I was just excited to be where I was. You know, again, being a female, I was just like, wow, I'm very lucky to be put in this position right now. Yeah. So I'm glad it worked out. Like, I was, at the time, my job was, I was doing makeup. Like, I was a makeup artist for a while. And I was like, well, if this tattooing thing doesn't work out, I'm going to do permanent makeup, because then I would be educated on both sides of the spectrum. And I was like, I'll do permanent makeup, because that was also blowing up at that time when I started tattooing. So, but luckily I'm not tattooing faces. So, yes.
You mentioned earlier you went to school for graphic design. Do you think, I've been talking to a lot of people who have gone to art school, and a lot of them, would you say it's helped you?
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like any kind of art education is definitely beneficial to this industry. It just opens up your eyes to different ways of putting things together, or layout. Like, I, you know, can design my own business card if I wanted to. Like, back then I was like designing my own websites. So yeah, I like the extensive art education that I have. Like, it benefited me. That doesn't mean everyone has to be a college dropout, you know, like a graphic design dropout. I dropped out as soon as I started tattooing full time. I quit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because I knew, I mean, I was like, this is it. This is what feels right. This is what I want to do. Like, yeah.
Do you ever get frustrated, or you're like, you've been doing it so long, you're like, maybe I should do something else?
I don't know what something else would be. I get frustrated when I get those like artist blocks.
How do you combat your artist blocks?
Say what?
How do you combat your artist blocks?
I take the break. I mean, it's just mentally, my mind is telling me to take a break, and I've just learned to just do it. Just take that break. You'll work through it a lot quicker if you just take the break instead of getting more frustrated, getting more blockage. Like, I just take the break. Like, and if that means I take a week off of work, or, go out of town, sit at home and just hang out with my dog, like whatever that break is at the moment, I just take it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I feel like that's when I get my most frustrated, especially when you're surrounded by other people that are not in that slump the same time you are. To be around other creative people that are still being creative and that are still producing, like, I just try to like step away from it for a little bit and take a breather and come back rejuvenated. But it's like every break or artist block, they all have different time frames. Sometimes it's just a day or two. Sometimes it's a month. Like, I feel like I had a weird year one time where I just was not wanting to produce. But even when I was in the depths of that time, I never didn't want to tattoo. Like, I never was like, that's it. Tattooing's not for me. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I always knew this is going to pass. So yeah, I've never not wanted to not tattoo. Like, I don't even know, unless it was just like living on the road. Even living on the road, I still feel like I'd be like doing guest spots and tattooing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I can't think of anything else I would want to do right now. Yeah. So yeah.
I love your paintings, specifically your flash.
Thank you.
They're fucking amazing.
Oh,
what does your process look like for that? What do you use to stain and to paint with? And how do you come about the designs? Do they just pop in your noggin, or do you have any specific inspirations?
I really like pulling from like 80s and 90s flash and designs. I really like, wizards, Grim Reapers, devils, pinups. Honestly, didn't paint full sheets of flash, like 11 by 14 sheets until I started working at Keepsake. Like, I had done a few like for art shows where that was the requirement, like to do an 11 by 14. But I was just doing like little 5x7s, and I would like sell them as one-offs. Like, as soon as I'd make them, I'd sell them. But then I started working at Keepsake, and it was like, oh yeah, put your flash on the wall so you can tattoo it. So it's kind of nerve-wracking doing an 11 by 14 sheet of flash, because it's just like, it's a lot of room for error in that. And I think it's also taught me just to like live with the mistakes, that, I might be the only person that sees that I've made a mistake on that flash, but to just like work with it. But it's also nice to like have it painted, good to go. So when somebody does want to come in and get it, you know exactly how you're going to color it or what you're going to do different this time. Really, my process is just like liquid acrylics, and I use Arches paper, and I honestly just used a nib for the first time not that long ago to line out some flash. I enjoyed it. It was a slower process, and so it was kind of nice. Mm-hmm. Something was like slowing me down, because I am a very like go, 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 do it as fast as I can kind of a person. Be as efficient as I can, I guess. So yeah, that is something I'm looking forward to, like continuing to educate myself in. Everyone here uses nibs, and so it was just kind of nice to be like, even at my age and how long I've been tattooing, it's nice to learn something new. Like, it just keeps your brain like active and keeps everything fresh. So it was nice to like work with a new media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a lot of social media followers. How is that mentally for you keeping up with that? Because you have tattooing, family, your personal life, your social media, photos, making art outside of tattooing. It's a lot.
Yeah. So when I started my social media account, I had no idea what that meant. I was like, oh yeah, post photos of your tattoos on here. It's free. But like over time, it became a thing. It's great for advertising and getting business, but it does mentally like put a strain on you. I honestly am not that active on my tattoo account. Like I'll get on there, I'll post a picture of a tattoo or a story of the tattoo I did, and then I kind of get right off of it. I have a personal account. I spend a lot of time on there looking at dogs, posting pictures of my dog. But like really my tattoo account, it's just hard to keep up with everyone. Like there's so many great tattooers out there that I just don't even like try. Like if I make a connection with someone, then that's when nowadays, like if I make a connection with someone, that's when I like to follow them now, rather than just following all these people because I like their stuff. I like to meet the person and then follow them because then I have some sort of connection with them. But it is, I mean, great for business, because
Do you
I
get
feel
a
like
lot of clients from social media?
yeah. Almost every time I ask someone, oh, how did you find me? And like, oh, I just searched Oklahoma traditional tattoo on Instagram. Or there's like Reddit, which I'm not on at all.
That's
But
very
there's
random.
like, no, there's a handful of, I guess, Reddit threads out there where people are asking, I'm looking for a traditional tattoo artist in either our shop or my name come up. And I'm like, wow, there's this thing out there working for me that I know nothing about. So thank you, Reddit. I don't know. So yeah. Anyway.
You started in like 2007. So how has it been different nowadays, like with social media and stuff? Like back then you were looking at books and you had to find a bunch of references. Now you have Pinterest. So you can look up 1,000 different draft photos.
I wish this was a question I would have known you were going to ask, because I still have at home. So back in the day, there was this website called Tattoodles. And I don't think, I think it's been taken down. I don't think it's on the web anymore, but it's where artists would submit their drawings to this database where people could like search like Sacred Heart, and all the Sacred Hearts that had been submitted to this database would pop up. So it was almost like a Pinterest, but just for tattoo images and Flash. And if you submitted artwork to the database, you got like a free membership, because otherwise you had to pay to be on that website. So I remember submitting a bunch of sketches to that and having like a membership for, it was like an ungodly amount of time that they would give you. So I used that a bit for images. And then I had this folder, and that's what I wish I would have brought this. I have a folder that I still have of just images printed out from here and there, or photos I've taken. I've got some like photo albums of like from cemeteries of like statues and headstones. And it was just crazy to carry that stuff around with you every time you'd go to work. Like you'd have this big folder full of these images, and mine were alphabetized. So I had like a section of skulls and hearts and whatever. But yeah, also back in the day, you really relied on your business card. Like you really relied on a business card. You always had them on you if you were at the bar or a concert. Like you were just handing them out, business cards and stickers.
Do you think that technology in the tattoo industry has been negative or more positive?
I mean, it's positive. It's just the way the ball is rolling, and if you're not going to roll with it, then it becomes a negative. I mean, you've got to change with the times. It's just how it is. Like, yeah, if you want to get someone's business who is going to find an artist by searching Instagram, then you've got to be on Instagram. Like, it's just the way it is. I don't think social media is mentally great for people, but I do feel like it has its positive moments, you know. So,
Do you ever find yourself comparing yourself to other artists, especially on social media?
Not as much anymore. Like I said, I really just try not to get on my tattoo account and just look at there's just so many other artists out there. But there was a time where it was like, yeah, I was comparing myself to other people, but I was still as busy as I wanted to be. So I was like, well, I must be doing something right because people are still coming to me. But yeah, I try not to like worry about what other people are doing. I appreciate what other people are doing. There's obviously the business is there for everyone. So I'm not mad about anyone else like tattooing traditional, or I think it's positive.
With the rise of social media and oversaturation, there's a lot of tattooers coming into the industry, especially from TikTok. Do you think that's a good or a bad thing?
I don't know your TikTok reference because I'm not on TikTok.
There's it's just making it popularized. Like people are like not even getting apprenticeships. They're just like buying machines off of Amazon and doing it out at home studios and stuff like that.
Well, if people want to get tattooed by that person who came about that way, that is their choice. I mean, there's no way to stop it. There's absolutely no way to stop it. I mean, you can learn and find out anything and everything by Googling it, and you can buy anything and everything on Amazon. So it's just a part of the industry. Yeah. I mean, when people are ready to get a professional tattoo, I will be here. Or if they need that tattoo fixed up, you know, there will be artists around to help them out with that. I think it's just a part of the process. It, again, makes me appreciate how I learned and the process I went through to get here.
People who are wanting to come in the industry, how would you say for them to go about it from your, experience?
You better be getting tattooed. Like, find an artist you respect and just start getting tattooed by them. Like, put yourself in that environment in some way. Like I said, back when I was getting tattooed, I mean, not that this is going to happen with everyone, but that opened the door for me, to be where I am today. And I honestly, just by sitting in that chair getting tattooed, I mean, you pick up on things. Like, you start to learn a process, like, just by being around it. Like, how can you not, So, I mean, your first step is start getting tattooed. Like, why would you want to be a tattoo artist if you don't get tattooed, The first thing you need to do, and then, draw. That's kind of a part of it too. Just draw. Like, find something creative to do, and try it out. Like, yeah.
I like to look at your time lapses on Instagram of you doing your drawings.
I haven't done one in a while.
Oh, I think the last one I saw was
like the iPad time lapses.
Yeah, you turned the girl from Fight Club into a traditional portrait.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Really cool. Do you get a lot of custom, or is it mainly your flash? Or like
it's 50-50. I mean, of course, my flash gets first priority, but I do need people to tell me a specific idea because it gets my creative juices flowing. Like, I do still like doing custom work, just to like think outside the box and work through a problem. I do still love doing custom stuff.
Is there a tattoo that you've done that has really stuck with you and been memorable?
I mean, not off the top of my head. I'm to the point where I kind of love them all. Like, it's funny because along the lines of that question, like, people, like customers ask all the time, oh, what's the weirdest tattoo you've ever done? And I'm like, you know what? If you would have asked me that question 10 years ago, I would have been like, oh, this guy got a slice of pizza tattooed on him, you know? And now it's like, what's weird? You know, like what is weird? It's hard to answer that question. So to ask me what tattoos stood out the most, I mean, I like all the stuff I do right now.
What was the first tattoo you did? Do you remember?
Yes. There was a cartoon show on TV called Invader Zim.
Oh, yeah.
You know about it? And I did a character.
Was it on yourself or something else?
No. It was on a friend, a very, very good friend who let me do that. No, I honestly didn't tattoo myself in the beginning.
Oh, really?
No.
When did you tattoo yourself?
Probably 3 or 4 years into tattooing. It was a bit, I mean, I didn't practice on myself. The guys that were teaching me, it wasn't anything that they required of me, you know, so I just didn't really do it.
So you say guys plural, so was it like a community?
Yeah, it was definitely, yes. It was definitely like a group effort. Yeah, basically like all the guys that still work at No Regrets. I mean, Nate and Derek and Travis, like, were my mentors. And you got something from each person, you know? Like, so yeah.
Everybody can teach you something.
I know. Yeah. And that's why, I mean, I enjoy working with other people, like going to other shops and doing guest spots, or going to conventions and getting in a different environment where you are going to pick up new skills or see new products or just a new viewpoint of the industry and a different way to do things.
Do you have a favorite guest spot or convention that you've done?
I really love guest spotting at Sailor's Grave in Omaha, Nebraska. It's a walk-in shop. So it's nice because here I'm, you know, booking appointments and doing appointments most of the time. I have opened up my schedule to walk-ins since we moved shops. But that is a walk-in only shop. So it's kind of nice to just show up, and every tattoo is a surprise, you know, and it kind of puts me back in those days where I would do whatever walked in the door, you know, like, so that's fun because it's different. I love the vibe of that shop. Everybody that works there is great. Some of my favorite conventions, there's the Villain Arts Circuit. We almost will always do Kansas City as a shop. The Kansas City convention is really good with them. And then we also love going to the Albuquerque convention.
So you guys do it as a shop?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, like not everyone is always able to come, but usually there's enough to do like a double booth. But yeah, I mean, before I came to this shop, like I said, I was doing conventions with Scott. So because the shop I was at the time, the other people there just, that wasn't their thing to travel. They had families, and it was very understandable that they just couldn't up and leave. So I was the only one that was kind of able to do conventions. And so I found other people to kind of team up with and do conventions with. But now that we're in the same shop, it feels more like we're doing it as a shop. Yeah, for sure.
So you said a hurdle was you being female. What was a technical hurdle whenever you started tattooing that was really difficult for you to get over?
Like, what do you mean?
Like some people over color, shaky lines, you know, just stuff like that.
My personal, my lines were pretty solid from the beginning. I think saturation in the beginning was like maybe a technical hurdle for me.
Did you learn how to build machines during your apprenticeship?
I have built a couple. It was more, I had built a machine through a kit. So it was kind of like everything was there for you, and there was like instructions. I haven't like wrapped my own quills or anything, like, could take apart a machine and put it back together if I needed to.
Do you use a coil today or rotary?
Both. I haven't really caught on to the pen thing. I've used one and they work great. It's just not for me. But coils, and I have like a D20 and a Cuban machine.
Everybody loves the Cubans. Yeah.
I bought one off of him at the Kansas City convention, and I just got to sit and talk with him, and he really just walked me through the whole thing. And I was like, okay, I'm going to join this club. And I've been in the club ever since. So,
Have you ever tried his Sidewinder? I've heard that's a really popular one.
I have a Sidewinder that I had gotten secondhand off of Tag Gear for Sale. But yeah, I just got the 46er off of him in Kansas City, and I love it. Like, I think I've used it every day since. So, yeah.
Do you have any artists that you look up to, especially you doing traditional? Do you like Sailor Jerry and stuff like that, or?
I mean, I love Stoney St. Clair. Like, I really look up to him just as the hurdles he had to go over to get to where he was. 80s, 90s era, like Mike Malone. Like, I love his stuff. Yeah. It's just crazy to think that those people were just doing it. Like, they weren't really, I mean, we are ripping them off all the time, but they were just like, they were doing it fresh out of the gate. Like, yeah, those images were out of their head or whatever, you know, or off of a vintage postcard or whatever. So, yeah.
So whenever you do your flash, do you like to clean up old designs, or do you draw it by hand? Do you do it in your iPad? Like,
I mean, anymore, I do utilize the iPad a lot. I just think it's efficient. Like, all your images are in one spot. It's digital tracing paper, basically. But I do like to take from older images and like the classics and put my own spin on them.
Do you find a lot of your designs through books or online?
I have a huge book collection at home. It's out of control, book collection at home. So I do still like physically looking through a book. Like, even if I have the images on my iPad, I will pick up the book if I have access to the book before I scroll through my iPad. So yeah, I really do like looking through a book. But I mean, Pinterest, man, before not too long ago, I didn't even understand the benefits of Pinterest, you know. But there's just a lot of great references out there, you know, like, and Pinterest is wild. Like, the database is huge. Like,
do you use a lot of acetate references, or do you get like sketches, or?
I mean, have I ever tattooed with an acetate, or just like?
No, just like cleaning them up. I just know a lot of artists that.
I mean, anything out there is up for grabs, you know? And I mean, if it's like something where I need to give, like, say, oh, this is an original, like originally a Sailor Jerry or whatever, like, I try to give the credit, you know. I just knew the moment I got my first tattoo, I was like, I really think I want to do this. So, yeah.
Yeah. You want to say the location and your Instagram, and we're all set.
What's our address? 12 Northwest 13th Street is the new location. We are in Automobile Alley, just north of Oklahoma Contemporary Museum. And my Instagram is Viking Ashley.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, super nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you too.
Thank you.
We're done. That's it.
Blah!